This is TWiT.
Android founder Andy Rubin's new Essential phone is coming in a few weeks, according to an email sent to customers. The device, the letter claimed, is in carrier certification, combined with a few major executives leaving the company. This doesn't look promising for many people. But do you think a delay just means they're trying to get it right the first time instead of rushing it out the door, possibly having it explode on planes or something like that?
Well, I think that a delay essentially means, wow, this is harder than we thought. I mean, it is, despite Andy Rubin's history of developing Android, that doesn't mean he's ever built a phone before. And I've heard from people who work in the hardware world or who have worked in the hardware world that building hardware is really, really hard because
essentially,
essentially hard. Oh, sorry. I almost called you Dottie earlier when you were talking about the dot, but then I just didn't. I think that building, you cannot fudge hardware. What you have in your hand is what you get. And from everybody I've ever met who's developed hardware, it's always harder than you think it's going to be. So I think it just means that they hit a couple of stumbling blocks. They are figuring out the concepts of supply chain. They're learning the realities of supply chain and trying to get many different makers of many different parts working in the same timeline against a deadline. I think that's really tough. Andy Rubin seemed to communicate very clearly about it, but I am also not really bullish about this phone, not because I think they're going to do a bad job with it, just because I think that people are pretty comfortable with the handsets they currently own. I think that market is pretty saturated. It's not actually getting broader, it's getting narrower. People are buying there's less diversity in handsets right now, or interest in that diversity. So I think that there's a really steep hill to climb for the Essential phone team.
Well, Patrick, who's running our prompter and likes to write on index cards, has some thoughts as well on this. If you're listening, who knew that making a phone would be so complicated?
Exactly.
I like the idea. I don't like the idea that we're in this duopoly of phones. I would like more phones, but it's true that I'm completely fine with my iPhone. What do you think of the fact that Sprint is their carrier exclusive? I mean, I know you can get an unlocked one and everything, but like that seemed like to really be a weird choice to a lot of people. Personally, I am a Sprint user. I get mocked for that, but I'm proud. And what do you think about the fact that Sprint was their carrier of choice?
Oh, gosh, I honestly was scratching my head. That is just enough to keep me from doing it, simply because of coverage in my area. Right, when it comes right down to it, people are going to buy phones that will work where they live, and Sprint has not been so great for me. The only thing I can think of is that they got a great deal.
Yeah.
They got somebody who was eager to work with them. They got way more partnership, probably because Sprint is an underdog, and maybe a team of people who are really happy to make things work for them. I hope they did.